Game Breaker's Toolkit, a game jam where you make bad games instead of good ones. The goal is simple, make a terrible game in only 1 week. Today I will take advantage of this competition to get to grips with some code organization ideas. There are types of games you see that I would like to make, but I do not yet know how to properly make. And so I will attempt to make one now, without the expectation from myself or others to make a product of even half-decent quality. The game shall be some kind of grid-based strategy tactics dealio. There's a 5x5 grid and you can put down units in any of these cells. The units then attack at the end of each turn. If they attack a unit, they deal damage to that unit. If they attack empty space, then they deal damage to either you or the enemy or neither, depending on where on the board they hit. After a round when your enemy has been slain, another enemy appears with full HP, and the goal is to survive as many rounds as possible. The big thing here organization-wise is that much like the Chinese Communist Party and Common Decency, the logic of the game is completely disconnected from the visuals. In Fisticuffs, for instance, the visuals and logic of the game are intertwined, at least insofar as I work with it. The same scenes hold both sprites and behavior scripts, and that makes some sense to me because it's a real-time game, a game wherein the exact location of things is of utmost importance. I wanted to try separating logic and visuals, because it seemed like a good way to organize one of these turn-based, grid-based games, and I wanted to know if that intuition was in fact correct. So you have the logic side of things with parts called game grid and game piece and all that. Whenever a piece takes damage or is played, this is the chamber in which those events actually happen. It is in this section where the checks are made to see if damage shall be dealt to a piece, or yourself or your enemy. It is here that the pieces are slain, and it is this realm that cannot possibly be seen, for it has no visual form. And on the other hand do exist the display aspects, these sprites and squares that are shown to the player that they may comprehend the video game. This half consists of what is called the display grid, and the so-called display pieces upon it, along with all these informative bars and labels. How this generally works is the display part takes input from the player, clicks and such, and accordingly tells the logic part what it should do. The logic part then works out what the consequences are of this action, and tells the display part, which shows the player the results. For example, the player might click on an empty cell to create a peon, and the display portion sees this click and asks the logic portion to create this peon in the correct location. Logic side then checks to see that you have enough monies, and also that there's not already a piece in that cell, and if all's good, it subtracts the monetary cost from your account and creates this peon, and reports to display that, surprise above, a peon has been created. Display side then responds by summoning the image of a peon upon the screen and updating your money counter. It occurs to me, only once I describe this process, that this is similar to how online games work, where the client takes input and sends it to the server, which sends back the results so the client can show them to the player. Possibly making this game will also serve as experience to make it easier for me to make those multiplayer games in the future. See, when I make a game, it's not only the game before me that I consider, but I also intend to gain skills and knowledge to make it easier for me to make various future games, and so if I could practice something that will prove useful in the coming years and decades, then all the better. At some point I realized that the game I was making was not really shitty as per the terms of the jam, just kind of lackluster. Fortunately, I know plenty well how to fix that. You add meme sounds, so I downloaded a Rickroll and had that play when you lose. The site I got it from included an auditory watermark, and of course I left that in. In addition, the sound effect for placing a unit is very long and tends to overlap with itself in a very unpleasant way. When you murder your enemy and thusly win a round, some music might play in one ear. This is long enough that you may win another round while it's still playing and end up with 2 playing at the same time. Also, the screen has a fake cursor on it. Beatdown Grid ended up ranked 12th overall out of 27 games, mostly on the back of the Mimi audio. What's next for me? Dunno, looks likely that I'll make an expanded version of this game, which is actually good. I've already gotten to work on that. Or perhaps I will get bored and make another game. We shall see. Bye. Whee!